Picture this, it is Tuesday morning in 1716. You are at your workbench. The wood shavings smell like every other morning. The door opens before you expect. You do not know this is the last ordinary morning of your life. The men in your doorway have a legal document. It gives them your body. You are a carpenter. It does not matter. Your wife is watching. There is nothing either of you can do. The document is the law. The law says you belong to the Navy now. You have done nothing wrong. It does not matter. No trial, no charge, no appeal. They needed a body. You were visible. That was enough. This happened to between 300,000 and 500,000 men. You are one of them. By nightfall, you are below decks on a Royal Navy warship. The smell hits you first, then the darkness, then the understanding that there is no end date. There never was. Your wife does not know where you are. She will petition the Navy board for your pay. They will deny it. She will manage as she can. You will not see her for 11 years. But some of the men they took found a way out, not back to England, somewhere the Navy could not follow. This is also part of the story. There is a harbor in the Bahamas too shallow for warships. Men were already there, men who had made the same calculation you are about to make. They were waiting. Here is the part they do not tell you. You come back after 11 years. Your wife has remarried. The law allowed it after 7 years. Your children use another man's name. The press gang was not an emergency measure. It was the system. The impress service was a formal department with a budget, inspectors, and quotas. It ran for 218 years. Parliament renewed the impress service's authority repeatedly. The men who voted to renew it were not subject to it. The law protected those with power to say no, not you. The press gang did not want experienced sailors. Those men knew how to disappear. It wanted tradesmen, laborers, men working in the open where they could be seen, a carpenter at his bench, a man taken from his wedding reception, a man taken while his wife was in labor, a man discharged from press service, taken again the year he came home. These are in the archive. You could try a writ of habeas corpus. In theory. In practice, by the time your family found a lawyer and presented the writ, your ship had sailed. The law that took you moved faster. Look at the exemption list: apprentices, certain guild trades, coastal pilots, everyone with enough standing to appear on a list. Everyone else was fair game. The law was designed this way. The men commanding your ship purchased their commissions. They were not subject to impressment. The Navy was run by men who had bought their authority over men who never had a choice about being there. Your pay is not sent home automatically. Your wife petitions the Navy board. It is frequently denied. She takes in work. The institution that took you has no mechanism for caring what that costs. The Navy board's records contain thousands of petitions from wives of pressed men. The language is uniform. The desperation is uniform. The responses are administrative. Application denied. You understand what the institution thought of you. Between 1700 and 1815, the impress service took between 300,000 and 500,000 men, 500,000 ordinary men removed from their ordinary lives. They called it service. The Navy that won Trafalgar was built substantially on pressed men. The admirals were celebrated. The pressed men who crewed the ships were not. The institution needed both. It acknowledged only one. Picture the expression, not fear, not grief, something more specific. The look of a man who has understood that the system has him and will not let go. Artists documented it. You would recognize it. The impress service had regional offices in every major English port, inspectors with targets, lieutenants who ran the gangs, surgeons who confirmed fitness, not a mob, a department. It had been doing this for generations. The empire made a calculation. Paying men enough to volunteer would cost more than taking them by force. That gap was the financial benefit of the press gang. They chose the cheaper option. When an officer died in battle, his death appeared in the Gazette. His family received a pension. When a pressed man died in the same battle, his name was in the ship's log, nothing else. No monument was ever built to the pressed men. The archive has the muster rolls and the petitions it denied. What it does not have is the wife at the doorway. That gap was chosen. The ship was the least of it. Below decks, hammocks 18 inches apart. You sleep in rotation because there are not enough hammocks for everyone. The smell is something you will never entirely forget. This is your life now. No fixed term, there is no date on which your service ends. You serve until the captain decides otherwise, not until a term is complete, until he decides. It could be years. The lieutenant bought his commission. He has never been taken from his home before dawn. His authority over you is absolute. He exercises it accordingly. Flogging is conducted in front of the assembled crew. The spectacle is the point. You watch another pressed man flogged for attempting to leave. The institution will not return you without its own consent. Disease moves through the lower decks. Typhus, dysentery, scurvy. You are more likely to die of illness than enemy action. When a pressed man dies, his name goes in the ship's log. In battle, you work the guns. The casualty rate among gun crews is the highest on the ship. The pressed carpenter, who has never fired a weapon, is now responsible for a 12-pound cannon. The ship puts into a colonial port, ports where the Navy's reach is thinner, where a man who disappears might not be recovered. You notice the geography. You are not the first. The Admiralty's records describe desertion rates from colonial postings as alarming. Men go over the side at night. Force only works when the institution can see you. In a Caribbean port at night, it cannot. If you stay years more with no end date, if you run and they catch you, flogging or death. If they do not catch you, there is a place. You have heard about it. The choice is not between safety and danger. Both options are dangerous. The choice is between a danger the institution controls and a danger that is at least your own. You choose your own. The third night, you go over the side in darkness. You have nothing except the clothes you are wearing and the coins you saved over 14 months. You do not look back at the ship. You work passage on a merchant sloop, then a fishing vessel. The Caribbean in 1716 is full of men who have not explained where they came from. It is considered polite not to ask. Nassau, the harbor, is too shallow for warships. The men who built the community understood exactly what that depth meant. For the first time since Tuesday morning, you are outside their reach. Nassau is noisier than you expected. Men from a dozen countries. Nobody asks your name immediately. You have spent 14 months on a ship where your name was a number on a muster roll. You sign articles, equal shares. The captain is elected. He can be voted out. No man serves against his will. You have not read words like that since before the door opened on Tuesday morning. Nassau works differently. Nobody owns you here. You are one among hundreds who arrived the same way through the gap in the Navy's geography. Nobody has a document that gives them your body. Benjamin Hornigold built this. He understood what arriving men needed. Not treasure, not adventure, simply the absence of the institution, a harbor the Navy cannot enter, articles that say no man serves against his will. By 1717, more than 2,000 people live outside the imperial system here. The community contains one thing the press gang made necessary, the right of any man to leave. You sail not because you were told to, because you chose to. The institution that pressed you believed it owned your body. This community believes differently. The difference is everything. In 1718, Woodes Rogers arrives with a pardon. It covers piracy before January 1718. It does not address naval desertion. You have a problem that men who chose piracy voluntarily do not share. Some men sign, some sail away. You sail away, not because you fear the pardon, because there is nothing in England to pardon you back to. The wife has remarried. The workshop is gone. You do not become famous. The archive does not preserve your name. You are one of thousands who passed through Nassau between 1715 and 1718 and left no specific trace. The archive preserves the pattern. The Caribbean is large. Men who understand its geography can disappear with the same efficiency the press gang once disappeared them from their own lives. You understand it now. Nobody can take that from you. This is not the freedom you imagined on Tuesday morning. This freedom is what remains when the institution has taken everything else. There is nothing left to take. The press gang placed ordinary men in conditions that made desertion rational. The deserters ran to Nassau. Nassau disrupted Atlantic trade. The pardon was the result. The institution pressed you. You ran to its most famous enemy. You helped force the empire to offer a pardon. The institution that took you spent 3 years undoing what it had set in motion. While you were below decks, then in a Caribbean port, then in Nassau, she was in England, managing. The family continued because it had no choice. She is not in your story anymore. The law gives her a framework. After 7 years of unconfirmed absence, she can petition to have you declared legally dead, not because you are dead, because 7 years is long enough. She petitions, she remarries. This is survival, not abandonment. A remarried woman can manage property. Her children have legal standing. The institution that took you made her second husband necessary. The children who watched you taken have grown up. They do not remember you. They remember the man who came after. The institution's timeline replaced your life and your family. If you came back, some pressed men did, you would find this. Your wife remarried. Your children using another man's name. Your workshop taken. The law declared you dead correctly. The discharge paper in your hand and the remarriage record in the parish register, both products of the same machinery. The Navy took you. The law declared you dead. Each step was legal. Some came back and built second lives. Some went back to sea because England had nothing left. Some never came back at all, not because they could not, because there was nothing to return to. When the Navy discharged you, it gave you back pay and discharge papers. An officer received a pension and a place in the official record. You received a document that said the transaction was closed. She is not in the archive. The institution recorded your name on a muster roll. It did not record hers. She exists only as the recipient of the allotment petition it denied. He came back, everything else had not. The Impress Service conducted its last operation in 1815. The Navy's manpower requirements had dropped. The press gang was no longer cost-effective. 218 years, then it simply stopped. No ceremony. No acknowledge. The Navy that won Trafalgar was built on men like you, men who had not chosen to be there. The pressed men who crewed those ships are in the ship's logs, nowhere else. The press gang and the golden age of piracy are connected in the archive if you know where to look. The desertion rates, the colonial postings where men disappeared, the Nassau community that absorbed them. The shallow harbor at Nassau was protecting men the institution had already failed, men taken from their workbenches, men whose families had moved on. For them the black flag was arithmetic, not romance. The empire pressed you. You ran to a republic it could not reach. The republic disrupted its trade. The empire dissolved it with a document. The press gang created the reason the document was necessary. No memorial was ever built to the pressed men, not to the 500,000 taken, not to the families who managed alone. The institution needed them. It did not thank them. Nassau is a tourist destination now, the same shallow harbor. The streets where pressed men arrived having run from the Navy are hotel corridors and souvenir shops. The Admiralty Archive contains the muster rolls and the petitions it denied. The gap between what it contains and what happened to the men in it is the story it chose not to tell. The docks are still there, Portsmouth, Plymouth, Bristol, the streets where press gangs came at dawn. The geography that made those ports the targets they were is unchanged. The institution is gone, the geography stays. Picture the face one more time, the carpenter from the English port city, the expression of a man who could not stop what was happening. The institution recorded his name. After that, nothing. She is watching from the doorway. The archive does not contain this image. What it cannot contain is the specific morning, the specific woman, the specific man being taken. The press gang came at dawn for 218 years. It took men from workshops, docks, wedding receptions. It took them and it did not bring them back. The men who built the Navy that controlled the world's oceans are in the muster rolls, not in monuments, not in the story the institution tells about itself, in the gap the archive left. Tuesday morning in 1716, a carpenter at his workbench, the door opens. By nightfall he is below decks. By the third Caribbean night he is in the water. He never goes back to England.